the children. She has spoken in all different parts of the world, and she speaks across Ontario. And what she really wants to do is bring awareness and motivate young people to bring change that they wish to see in the world. So it's my honor to present to you our guest speaker, Abby.
All right, how's everybody doing today? Oh, that was pretty bad. How's everybody doing today? Okay, a little better. My name is Abby and I am here on behalf of Free the Children. So before we get started though, I have a thank you, a big thank you to give. So I want you guys to put your hands together to give a big asante sana, nandri, dhanyavad, merci, and thank you to the Meet to Week Club for hosting this. Let's give them a big round of applause. You guys are no stranger to Free the Children. Free the Children is the world's largest network of children helping children through education. And there's two ways that we've been able to do that. The first way is that we free children around the world from poverty and exploitation. And the second way that we're able to do this is we free young people like you guys from the idea that we are powerless to create change. And those are the two ways that Free the Children is making a difference around the world. Now, I came up with a little game so that you guys can get to know me a little better, so it's not a lot of me talking at you guys. So here we go. This is the name of the game, and it's called Getting to Know Abby. I didn't get very creative with the title, but how the game works is I'm going to give you guys a few facts about myself, and I want you guys to guess which one of those facts are true or false. And all you got to do is shout it out or make some noise. So here we go. The first fact about myself is this past summer I went bungee jumping, jumped off a 150-foot crane overlooking water. Craziest thing I've ever done. True or false? All right. Heard a few falses from this end. Okay. Second fact about myself. I was in the recording studio with Nelly Furtado. True or false? Mixed reaction from the crowd. Last fact about myself. I am fluent in 5 languages. Okay, well, that's a big difference from the last audience. So here we go. Moment of truth. I did go bungee jumping. I don't know how I got up there because really, in fact, I don't even like going on roller coasters. My friends kind of forced me to do it. Next fact about myself. Guess what? I was in the recording studio with the Nelly Furtado. I didn't make music with her, but she was kind enough to let me pretend like I was. But the reason I got to hang out with her is because I got to hang out with her during We Day. And We Day is Free the Children's Concert for Social Change, where we pack the Air Canada Centre with 20,000 young people like yourselves. And we invite artists like Nelly Furtado and the Kenyan Boys Choir. And in past years, we've even had the Dalai Lama come and motivate and speak to young people like yourselves to believe that we can be the change that we wish to see in the world. Last fact about myself, well, guess what? I lied. I don't speak 5 languages. So that's a little bit about myself. But what is true about myself is that I went to the University of Toronto and I graduated with a degree in International Development Studies. And I know it's a fancy title, but really all I wanted to do is I wanted to learn about all the ways in which I could give back. Now, I remember sitting in class though, and I remember learning about issues around the world. See, I remember learning that there are over 100 million people around the world that are homeless. I remember learning that there are over 2 billion people around the world who do not have access to clean water. And I remember learning that there are over 218 million children around the world who have to work every single day just to survive. I remember sitting in class and feeling helpless. I remember thinking to myself that I wanted to be able to do something, but I'm just one person. Where do I start? And these are just numbers and stats. What do they really mean to me? It wasn't until the 2004 tsunami hit Southeast Asia, in fact, hitting Sri Lanka, the place where my parents were from, killing nearly 38,000 people, wiping out homes, businesses, and entire families. I remember getting home that day and I remember seeing my mom flooded with tears as she got off the phone. And I remember asking her, well, what went wrong? And that's when she said that we couldn't hear from our friends and families for weeks. We didn't know if they were dead or alive. I remember thinking to myself that I had enough of people telling me I was too young, or I couldn't do this, or I couldn't do that. Because all of a sudden, these numbers and stats that I was learning in class became people, their stories, and their lives. I knew that there had to be something that I could do. And so me and my friends heard about what Free the Children was up to, and so we got involved. And first we reached out to just our friends and our families when we went door to door, collecting a few dollars here and there, making our own t-shirts. And then eventually we had a family fun day where we were able to get the whole community together, and just one day we were able to raise over $5,000 to support Free the Children. Now, I know not all of us face the same challenges growing up. In fact, every single one of you in this room today wakes up to a challenge that's unique to you. But remember that we can be the change that we wish to see in the world. And in fact, if it weren't for leaders around the world like this, or leaders in our community, or leaders right here in your school who believed that they could be the change that they would like to see in the world, and believed to not be defined by the challenges and barriers that they face every single day, well, they wouldn't be able to make the impact that they have. In fact, people like this stood up and said no to apathy. They said no to feeling sorry for themselves, and no to being put in a box and being challenged by the barriers that they face. Now, I want to introduce you guys to a young person that believed that he could be the change that he'd like to see in the world. Anybody recognize who this is? Craig Heelberger. Awesome. Well, when Craig was just 12 years old, he woke up one morning, got out of bed just like you guys, ran downstairs to read the comic section of the newspaper, and he was flipping through when he came across this article, and it read, "Battle child labor, boy 12, murdered." The article went on to read about a young boy named Iqbal Masih. See, when Iqbal was just 4 years old, he was sold into a carpet factory loom that looked much like this. But with the help of a child's rights organization, Iqbal was able to break free. And he had the chance to speak in front of young people like you, and he even had the chance to speak in front of the United Nations, where he held a pencil in one hand and a tool in the other, and he said children should have the right to education and not have to work. Now, as Iqbal spoke out, carpet sales were going down because people around the world didn't want to buy carpets that were sold by children. Now, going back to Craig that morning, Craig couldn't believe how a kid his age, just 12 years old, could be killed for something that he stood up for. So he ripped out the article, went to class, stood up and asked his teacher for 5 minutes. And he said, "I don't know much about child labor, but I know that I want to make a difference. Who of you will be with me?" And at that time, 11 other hands went up, creating the 12-year-olds who started Free the Children. And we've been able to do a lot since then. In fact, I had the chance to take 25 young people like yourself to India, where we had the chance to help build a classroom and give back to the local community that we work with. But it wasn't until I got there that I realized what an impact we were making, because long before we got there, kids didn't have access to education, didn't have access to medical care or clean water. And so we knew we had to make a difference about this. So we started the Adopt a Village project, one that looks like this in all the countries that we work in. to look at all the work that we've been able to do. Now, your school is no different because you guys are helping by building a school in Sierra Leone that will bring education to hundreds of kids so that they can dream as big as you guys. So remember, be the change that you wish to see in the world. And before I leave here, my simple ask is support your Me to We Club. Check out all the initiatives that they have and get involved. Want to find out more? Go on to www.weday.com where you can find lots of interesting information and how to get involved. Remember, we are the generation that we've been waiting for. Thank you.